What is going on, everybody? How is it going? Happy Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, no matter where you are in the world. What's up? Welcome here for another ADSR Production Challenge, the second of all time production challenges. We did our first one last week and that was a lot of fun, and here we are continuing on. If you don't know, we are doing this every single Wednesday where members of our Discord group here on ADSR partake in a particular challenge. This week was to work with a specific sample, and it's a fun community event because we all get to like share tracks and hear what each other are working on in the Discord community. And then on this stream we pick 3 finalists to A, win prizes, and B, showcase their music. So all of the 3 picks tonight will walk away with a $100 ADSR store voucher, which is amazing because you know there's tons of great plugins and samples and courses on the ADSR store. Not only that, but they'll also get this cool ADSR t-shirt, which I wore last week. So you want to get that, obviously. And then one lucky winner, the best of those 3, is actually going to get a couple of plugins from our friends at UJam, which we have to thank UJam. So great for supporting this show and this stream 2 weeks in a row now. But if you are that lucky winner, you will get Mellow 2 by UJam, as well as Groovemate 1, which I will incorporate today. But this is a hefty prize, my friends, isn't it? The smooth and virtual fingered acoustic bass plugin. So that's really dope. Mellow 2, my friends. In addition to Groovemate 1, which I will use today, so don't worry, you're not missing it. What else do we have going on today? Well, since this is a weekly show, before we get into today's challenge, I think I should let you know what next week's challenge is, because some of you might not have entered this week, but I highly encourage as many people to enter as possible. Because, first of all, it's free to enter. Just join the Discord. You can only possibly win something good. And then at the very least, you'll get feedback from your peers in the community. So it's definitely worth entering. So if that entices you, let me tell you what next week's challenge is here. Next week's challenge is, show it on screen, to make a 32-bar track featuring an original vocal sample of your choice. So I hear the excuses coming already. I don't have a good microphone. I don't have a good voice. I don't have a whatever. Well, I'm willing to bet most of you have phones. I have a phone, and I'm going to record. I'm going to do this challenge next week on stream, just like I'm going to do this week's challenge today. I'm going to record my vocal samples on the voice app on my phone. Now, does it have to be singing? No, it could possibly be chants. Whatever it is, interpret this as you may. But I'm going to use my voice recording app. And guess what? You don't have to have a cool iPhone. I bet even if you have like a old school like banana phone or something, it's got a voice recorder on it. I bet your laptop has a built-in microphone that you could record a voice sample with. So no excuses, my friends. Enter in the challenge next week. And a 32-bar track, that's like, can be pretty short depending on your tempo. Think about it. You could only possibly win. What's the worst thing that could happen? Somebody in the community notices your track and says, hey, this was pretty good, or gives you some constructive feedback. I think that alone is worth it, getting feedback from the community. But I want to say hello to everybody in chat. How are you all doing? I know some of you showed up early, like Thomas and Luda, and I see friends over on Facebook too. Hello, Facebook friends. Oliver is here, and William is over on Facebook. Hello, nice to see you. But on YouTube here, I got Drunk Bishop, Joseph McCaffrey, wow, Ed Oyama. Can you believe do you think my mom entered the sample challenge? Probably not. Toon Psych, hello, nice to see you. Suru is here. What's going on, Suru? James, Rashane, Lair Boy. If you're here in the chat and you won last week, let us know. Let us know if you're here and if you've been enjoying the sample challenge. Michael G, welcome. Luis Torres, I hope I'm not missing anybody. I'm going to try to keep up with questions in chat as we go today. But thank you all for being here. Omar, hello. Drummy Geo is here. Got to talk to some of you all on my call-in show on Tuesday on my channel, but that was fun. Did I introduce myself? Hi, my name's Taetro. If you don't know me, I make beats. I'm an electronic music producer. I'm going to pause the background music, and we're going to get into today's challenge because we don't have much time. We got to go through some missions, make our own track with the challenge, etc. So why don't I show you what we're working with here? This week's challenge, the challenge at hand, was to make a track featuring this loop here. Play. Let me put it in the loop's tempo, 120. All right. Now I am definitely not an acid producer at all. And I saw there was a little bit of contention in the Discord. Now, nowhere in the prompt did it say you had to make an acid track. Even in the stream, when we were live, I specified and said you do not have to make an acid track. So when you're participating in any type of sample challenge, unless something is explicitly stated in the rules, interpret it however you want. All you have to do is use this loop. And we had some really great entries of people using this loop, people transforming it, etc. And I'm going to show you my approach and sort of my thinking around using this loop and building a track. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So, like I said, I'm not an acid producer. This is a pretty challenging sound to work with. Why? Because it has reverb on it. It's a very distinct acid-based sound, but a couple things stick out to me. One is the rhythm. Two is the fact that we have that nice clean note at the beginning, which if you're DAW, if you use Ableton Live, I'm using Ableton Live here, of course. If you have a sampler in your DAW, like I have the Simpler loaded, I can drop that in there pretty easily. And that single note now becomes a playable instrument. And if I warp it, it actually becomes a, all the notes will be uniform. But since it is such a distinct sound, it's a really hard sound to work with that way. However, if some of you are doing next week's challenge with a vocal sample, this is definitely a technique you should think about. So that's one approach, but I still get that very distinct acid-based sound, which I'm not all about. And going back to that point about, interpreting a prompt for a sample challenge, for me, I never want the sample challenge to influence what kind of music I make necessarily, unless I'm using it for that purpose, right? Unless I'm using it to sort of break out and try a new genre. In this case, you all kind of know my sound. You know what kind of music I tend to try to make. So I would try to find a way to incorporate this in the music that I actually do try to make. And my instinct is to basically get rid of any of the harmonic content here and just use it as rhythm. So one thing I'm going to do here in the window is switch this to Beats Warp mode. And I don't even know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. And then I'm going to go to this little transient option here. Instead of having that back and forth, we're going to have this one. And then lowering this number will actually shorten the distance. It will, well, let me play it for you and I'll try to explain it better. You notice we're only getting the attack of the transients the lower the number goes. Until we're left with basically just the transients. So maybe some of you might think that this is cheating, but I don't really care. No, but seriously, I think we shouldn't get caught up in the idea of what is cheating and what is not cheating in music production, especially when given a challenge that says, just use this loop. So I am going to use this loop for sure. You see, and if you notice many other contests where people win, they often do something that you think oh, wow, I didn't think I could do that, based on the rules, quote unquote. So we're still getting a little bit of tone in there. And let's mess with it even more. I could probably pitch it up and get rid of most of that, those lower notes. And the more I go up, the more clicky it's going to be. The lower I go, the more percussive I think it'll be. I like that, but it's still tonal. I really like that too. That's subtle, but let me duplicate this actually, and let's do two versions. just to give it some space. Let's group these now. And I'm just going to use this as the basic rhythmic, the basic rhythmic groove of the track. I don't know if I'll stay at 120 BPM, but let's see. Now I'm going to use the vocoder in live to add a little crispiness on top. I do this a lot with maybe shaker loops that need a little bit of like width to them. You wouldn't think of using a vocoder for this, but listen before. And now let's listen after. Here it gives it that little knock, right? Even more rhythmic now. There's a noise carrier, that's why. Great. So I don't really want... I've already gotten rid of most of those lows there. That's fine. Let's spread this a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit. Let me zoom in, actually. I'm going to take the panning and go a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left on one to give it that more stereo feel. And I'm going to bring the volume of this up. All right. William has been winning. William over on Facebook has been winning some of these challenges and stuff. So that's great. All right, we could add even more effects on top of this. I'm just working with the loop a little bit longer than I normally would because I want to give it its justice, right? Get out of here. I might try to add a little erosion to it as well. Erosion will add a little bit of noise. Can add some wide noise. And let's add some width to that. And I want to do a little higher frequency. Now it's starting to have more of a shaker quality. I wouldn't say it's exactly a shaker. But let's spice this rhythm up even more with some delay even. Probably like more of a ping pong delay. 2 against 3. Less feedback. Less dry wet. All right, and there's still a little bit of like knocking in there. So let me get rid of some more of these low frequencies. One more time. I'm really interested in the higher end content. All right, and now it's sort of like dancing around between the ears, which is cool. And it's sort of unrecognizable now that it was an acid loop, but really we've maintained the core rhythm of the sample. And who's to say that rhythm and harmonic content, like what's more important, one or the other? Actually, a fun fact, actually, let's do a guess in the chat. Chat, what's more important for a recognizable melody, the rhythm or the actual notes? The rhythm or the notes, the harmonic content? Which is more important for recognizing a melody? There is a correct answer. Drop it in chat. I want to know what you all guess. A melody, a single note melody. What is more important for recognizing that melody? The notes themselves or the rhythm? And I don't know if I'll be able to properly demonstrate how to best understand which of them is actually better or more important. But there is a correct answer. All right, this is good. I'm going to lower the tempo now. Let's go to like 80. Let's make a little bit of a lo-fi track with this. I am keeping an eye on the time because we're going to get into reviewing the 3 submissions that were picked by the ADSR team this week. So I'm excited to get into that. 2 options, James. Rhythm or the melody. Timbre is not an option. Sounds like Foley, yeah. Okay, let's add some chords now. Actually, what I have in my sample packs folder is a cool pack from ADSR, Hello-Fi 2. You can have one without the other, Larry boy. Let's find a melodic loop here, or keyboard loop. These are all at 140 BPM. We could step it up a notch, or we could see what they sound like slowed down. You all are so right. I didn't expect so many people to know this, but yes, rhythm is more important in recognizing a melody. And if you want to prove that, all you have to do is clap out. Take an unwitting friend who doesn't know what you're doing. Clap out a melody. Could be Mary Had a Little Lamb. Just clap out that melody and they'll be able to most likely recognize it. Any song that has a memorable melody, if you clap it out with no notes at all, just from the rhythm, they'll be able to identify it. But if you took those notes from Mary Had a Little Lamb or any recognizable melody and you played them out of rhythm in a totally different way, but you played the notes in the exact same order, it's highly unlikely, it's a lot less likely at least, that they would be able to understand the rhythm or understand what song you were talking about. Chat, that reminds me of Rugrats with peace and love, not in a bad way. That reminds me of some game. Oh, that's fun. What does this sound like slowed? It ends up being like double time. Well, that doesn't get us our lo-fi track we want. Oh, that's nice. I want to push the levels of our little rhythmic loop that we have here. I'm going to work on this track for about 10 more minutes just to come up with the idea and showcase like my approach to the challenge, which is the same thing I'll be doing for next week's challenge. When we come on here, I'll take about the first half hour or so and really try out working with a vocal sample that I recorded, which I'm excited to hear what everybody comes up with for that. Let's continue with this pack. I'm going to put in some, oh, that's an intense one. Put in some drums now. Yes, that's a good kick. And what I'm going to do for this entire drum kit is just cut off some highs. I really like how this rhythmic loop and this chord progression sort of interlock. Drums are a bit loud though. All right, let's get the snares going. Oh, that's a very cool snare. Let's do it. Just gonna get a nice kick snare pattern going here. What do you all think of this standing desk setup, by the way? I don't know if I can ever go back to sitting. And I was worried about standing for long periods of time, but we did 2 hours on my channel the other day, 2-hour stream. And it was not even hard, if I'm being honest. There's a couple things that I want to figure out. Like, it's hard to monitor chat as easily because it's not in my eye line the whole time, but you know. Let me get this just on the 2 and 4 while we're here. Go on for that whole loop length. Working in arrangement view again. Gonna give us an acapella track to damage? No, this guy. The challenge is for you to record your voice. All right, let's get this kick pattern laid out here. I really love this. This little melodic loop works so well. Boom, kappa. All right, cool. I'm gonna duplicate those first 2 bars in the interest of time. Maybe add some different hits. Boom. That works. All right, we've got our basic little kick pattern here. I did say I would use the GrooveMate 1, so why don't we do that? Because that's one of the prizes for the lucky winner tonight. Of course, we'll have 3 winners, but 1 major lucky winner. We'll walk away with a couple UJam plugins because they were so kind in supporting us in our producer challenge. So shout out to them. Let's do this. UJam. We got the GrooveMate 1 here. Do people say? I feel like this guy. I feel like people encourage the standing all day. I haven't heard anybody against it yet. So GrooveMate 1, I've used it on a bunch of streams here, but just amazing way of generating some rhythms with hand percussion and claps, etc. Let's do some tambourine because we actually already have like that kind of shaker sound. So let's add something new. Shave off those highs again, because of course we are trying to do some lo-fi. Let's get everything pumping with that kick. Do a little bit of side chain as usual. How many people in chat actually entered this week's challenge? That's how I would like to know. Let me know. James Early says, standing desk changed my life. Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe. Easy, easy. Isn't this a beautiful chord progression? Let's pump it a little louder. All right, what else we got in that sample pack that we could add to this track? Oh, we have little FX risers and stuff. Oh, that's a loud one, but let's try to use it. Just at the top. We'll add like a washy kind of riser sound. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. Let's cut off that little beginning. Fade it in slightly. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's actually duplicate these bars so that we have an 8-bar phrase. And I only want this FX to happen on the first phrase. And let's just douse it in some reverb here. That's easy enough. Wet all the way up, long decay time. Put this in high quality mode. Bring this volume way down because an FX sound is already loud enough, probably. There we go. Let's not forget that this is an acid loop here. And actually, well, yeah, I can't do an easy A/B test, but okay. Let's see if we can add maybe one more element because we have a little bit more time before we start reviewing the 3 top submissions for the week. Sample packs. Oh, we have melodic one-shots. Interesting. Oh, that's why it's giving me a Christmassy vibe. There's Christmas-themed samples here. Well, that's cool. Actually, let me see something. I don't think... It would be fun if I could do something with this, but... I don't think it could happen. Oh, maybe though. It does sound a little janky the more we pitch it up. And I just added more reverb to it because I wanted to offset the actual reverb that was there. Let me try something. Crop the sample. Reverse the sample. That's so funny. Crop it even more. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I can shape the sound exactly how I want it, but... Good, I'm gonna kill that release a little bit. Sounds like a gnat. Let's upgrade this to sampler. And now another way to easily, if you have a short sample and you want it to be a more sustained instrument, if you have a sampler that's capable of this, what you can do is like loop a region of a sample, but where the magic is, because if I play this now, it's just looping that section, which is not helpful. What I want to actually do is have it play from the start and then go back and loop. Since this is so short, it's a challenge. So I don't know if this will be possible. Yeah, it's probably too short to do this. But usually there's like you can use crossfade and it'll really, really help. But I've cropped this sample to hell already, so it's not really the most... It's not really going to be the most useful. So let me just actually undo that, because I think I was getting close with what I already had right in simpler. But for next week's challenge, definitely think about that if you need to add some sustain to your samples. Back. I'm going to shave off even more highs. I think this is the magic for me in doing a sample challenge like this. It's like solving the problem. Like, how can I actually shape this sound to sound like something I would use? I would call this the fly lead. Fly is buzzing by our head. Oh, even if we let that reverb hang. And I just cranked that dry wet up to completely kill all the highs, basically, and let it have that huge decay time. And that's actually pretty usable. Let's just record that really quick. It's just literally 2 notes. What's up, Billboard Shaw? Thank you for joining. Hello, this guy said Jeff Goldblum loves this. It's true. All right, so there you go. Basically take any loop or any sample, drench it in a bunch of reverb. You'll solve your problems, I guess. So I didn't expect to do that, actually. I just thought maybe it could work. And I think there's a couple touches. Like, this is probably not the final sound I would use if I was going to include this in my track. But I am satisfied that I was able to use the sample in 2 different ways, a melodic way and a rhythmic way. That makes me feel more justified in my choice. It's also sidechained, which is helping it blend a lot. I could widen it. Of course, I want to bring down the volume now that I did that. And then, you know, we could go ahead and auto pan. And right after I do this, I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the submissions. So now it's kind of floating around us like the real fly that it is. All right. There you go. So that would be my take. I mean, I spent a half hour, obviously the challenge to create 32 bars. I could extend this for sure, add a couple more elements, but as you can see, not that heavy of a lift to take an acid loop and incorporate it into a lo-fi track, or take that simple material and turn it into something totally different. So with that, I am stoked to start getting into some of the submissions that we have. The 3 top submissions for tonight, I should say. And I hope you are ready as well. So why don't we get into it? I'm going to kill that, kill my loop in the background. And what I'll do this week, I didn't do this last week, but we're going to go through the 3 top submissions. And just a reminder that each of these 3 will win a $100 ADSR store card. So you can purchase some of the cool sounds that I just used, maybe, or maybe even one of the courses. In addition to an ADSR t-shirt, which is right here. Cool ADSR logo on it. I'll probably wear it again next week, but I wore it last week, so we got to keep things fresh. And the number 1 winner, the track that I will showcase last, will actually be winning a couple awesome plugins from UJam, from our friends at UJam, including GrooveMate, which we just used here. But without further ado, my friends, why don't we get into our first selection for the evening? Shout out to John O'Connell with their entry called ADSR Acid Loop Challenge 32 Final. Come on, we couldn't come up with a slightly better title than that, John, but that's okay. The challenge was not to title it excitingly. It was to sample the loop. So why don't we do this? Here we... I'm gonna hit this. Perfect. All right. So a much more traditional approach to the sampling, but it still works. Chopped it up a bit. I don't know if that's a vocal sample panning around, but I think that's cool. Great chance. I love the shuffling percussion. I would say this is a good transformation of the original groove. Nice. That was a very cool ending too. I like that. That vocal sample. It sounds like, John O'Connell, you're ready to do next week's challenge too with chopping up vocals, because I heard a couple different vocal samples chopped in there. So that was really awesome. John, congrats. You are one of our finalists this evening, so you get that $100 voucher and the cool ADSR t-shirt. That was really fantastic. There's a couple different ways. Obviously, you can approach a sample challenge. This, we can hear the original loop, right? Let me actually run that back a little bit. Let's go from, say, here. We can hear the original loop, right? It's not a complete departure. But it does something else. It shuffles up the groove. It chops it up in an interesting way and gives us something new, right? No, thank you, SoundCloud. So I thought that was really great. Yes. Fantastic job, John O'Connell. Let's give a round of applause for John O'Connell. Fantastic. Congrats, John. All right, let's get into our next entry. Here. All right. Ooh, interesting. I know this person from my community. And this person actually did a much longer track, but we have some time here tonight, so I'm happy to listen to it. Can't guarantee that we will always, though, so make sure you stick to the 32 bars in the future. So why don't we give it up for our next finalist for the evening, Nascent, with the acid test. Now let's run this back from the beginning, and let's give a listen. On Audius. Is this our first Audius entry? Now, I haven't yet identified what of the original loop was used, but I'm wondering if it's that synth we're hearing. Ooh, another good vocal sample. representing Taetro Crew 2021 for ADSR. Nice. Always a spacey vibe with Nascent for sure. That bass line coming in nice. I wonder if Nascent is in the chat and if Nascent can tell us about how the sample was used. Or do you guys hear it and I'm just deaf? Some of these sounds dancing around my headphones. I'm excited to see how this all culminates because we've got about a minute left of the track. Here we go. Those higher pitch sounds, those are really hard to mix right because sometimes they're, oh, that drum fill. Because sometimes those higher pitch sounds could really hurt people's ears, but they work here. Nascent is always taking us on a journey through outer space, that's what I know. Nice little pitter-patter fade out. Oh, interesting. We got some stuff from Michael G. I fully admit I blended that sample, cooked it down, killed it across the border, cut it with a little baking soda. Yes. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I thought this was really, really dope. It's another example of you don't have to be able necessarily to identify the sample in a sample challenge. You just don't. Like, is it cool to like maybe be able to point to it? Yeah, sure. But I think that at the end of the day, if you just make a dope piece of music in any type of sample challenge or contest or whatever, people are going to ask, how did you incorporate it? And as long as you have a good explanation for it, you know, as long as you didn't like pretend that you did the sample, which obviously nobody did here because we're all upstanding members of the music production community here on the ADSR Discord and the ADSR channel, of course. But yeah, I think you did exactly what my thought was in a sense. It's like, if you don't necessarily make a certain genre and the sample material you get is very distinctly a genre or very distinctly a certain sound, you got to just do what you can with it. So it's a similar approach to what I did. You just boil it down to something that's usable for you and your style, and it works. Great job, Nascent. Nascent, they're clapping for you in the stands. I can hear them amazingly. Fantastic entry, and I like the title, The Acid Test. Makes sense. All right, so that's another winner of a $100 ADSR voucher and ADSR t-shirt. Congrats, Nascent. But this last one, my friends, we've got a good one for you. This is the number one of the week. So this particular producer will be winning not only the $100 voucher to ADSR, not only the ADSR t-shirt, but also the two amazing UGM plugins, GrooveMate 1 and Mellow 2. I introduced to you our winner this week. We have Don Omar with Bateria. And I really like how this one switches things up. Let's give it a listen. Let's give it a listen with the volume turned on. Here we go. First of all, this track is private. Let's unprivate it so people can go jam to it. Here we go. This is our number one of the week. This groove. Don, where are you at? Show yourself in the chat. This is done weekly, Jerry, over on Facebook. Those strings. talk about switching up that groove of the original loop, but I can still kind of hear it in there. Epic. You know, I could use another minute of that. Like, make that into a full track, my friend. That's great. Actually, since this is our number one of the week, let's run it back one more time. Let's give it another listen. What do you all think of that? Omar Savino, is that you? Are you Don Omar? What did you all think? Did you all have a feeling this one was going to be it from the Discord? Such a good drop. How can you not move? Another fantastic example of just totally switching up the groove. Yes, you stuck to the 32 bars, Omar. It just builds so perfectly. There's one other thing I want to talk about with these entries. If you do only have 32 bars or you only have a short amount of time, I'm just going to play this in the background again. If you only have a short amount of time, like for a sample challenge, say it's a minute long, like I've done some of my contests, minute long, or 32 bars for this instance. One thing that Omar does really nicely here in this track is in that 1 minute, in that 32 bars, it sustains a really cohesive structure that it could pretty much stand alone as a minute of music. It has a beginning, middle, and end within the confines of that minute. It doesn't sound like we're just taking the first minute of a track and then it kind of cuts off or something. Took advantage of that 32 bars. You made it the best you could in that minute, and that's really awesome. But yes, we definitely want a longer version for sure. You could even take some more time and build these sections up over a longer amount of time, or who knows where you could take us, at least for another minute. This was a fantastic flip of the loop. I would have never expected a track like this, that's for sure. This definitely blows mine out of the water. Don Omar, fantastic job. You are the winner of not only the $100 ADSR voucher, the ADSR t-shirt, which we've got right here, but also the 2 plugins from UJam, Mellow 2 and GrooveMate 1. So congratulations, Don Omar. Fantastic entry. You really deserve it. It seems like the community is all on board. Like, hey, this is so dope. Drummy Geo asks, where do you submit tracks for the challenge? That's a great question, Drummy Geo. Some people might have tuned in late and they don't even understand what we're doing here. So let me explain it once more. So these challenges are done weekly here on the ADSR channel, and they're done with the ADSR Discord. So the link to the Discord is in the description. Anybody can join. Feel free to join us. It's a fun time over there, a fun community. As you can see, a lot of people in chat were talking about how they had already actually heard some of the entries because people were cheering each other on, which I think is an amazing thing. So join the Discord. We do these challenges weekly. Next week's challenge, if I can just remind you, or if you tuned in late, I X'd out of the graphic, but next week's challenge is to record your own vocal and make a track sampling your own vocal, essentially. Now, remember everything we talked about today. You can use things. Does that say only use your vocal? No. Does it say you have to be singing? No. It just says sample your own voice, make a track that's 32 bars. That's all it says. So don't create some artificial rules in your head that might not necessarily be within the confines of the challenge. Like you saw here, a lot of us broke some of those rules, like including me. Like you might not even be able to tell I used the loop in my entry. But yes, and like I said at the top, I'm going to be using my phone to record my voice. So you don't have a good microphone or whatever your excuse may be. I don't want to hear it. I want to see you all enter. So make sure you enter in via Discord. You've got up until next week to enter, so you got plenty of time. It's a nice weekend project, and we're always giving out cool prizes, so it's worth it for sure. Everybody's been super supportive over there, so we're looking for more people to join us in that community. But we have a little bit of time left, so congrats to all our winners today. Why don't I dig back into live and see if I can just take this a little further, and let me actually refresh my memory about what we even have here. So this was my take on the challenge. Oh, you know, another thing we could totally do is I could actually give you a little preview of some tips about how to do vocal samples for your next challenge. So anyway, let me just play back this loop. What do you guys want me to do? Let me know in the chat. We'll take the last 10 minutes. Do you want me to continue working on this lo-fi beat, or do you want me to give you guys some tips for next week's challenge? I'll let chat decide. Again, this is an awesome melodic loop. Something else I would have done, I could do here. Like, let me just duplicate this entire section. Very easy just to take your initial melodic loop or something and bring it down an octave. Hear a lot of songs do that. All right, some tips I'm seeing in the chat, some tips. All right, well, let's do some vocal tips then. All right, like I said, no cheating, right? Like, I'm gonna use my phone to record a vocal sample. Really quick. I'm literally just gonna use the voice notes app. Okay. Here we go. We're recording, right? Recording on the voice notes app. Oh. I don't know what notes I'm singing. Hey. Whoa. All right, I made some noises with my mouth, which is the challenge, and I'm literally just going to airdrop that to my computer now. This is the benefits of being in the Mac ecosystem. You all heard that? The airdrop is coming in. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll open up a new Ableton Live project, and I'll show you guys that vocal sample. Yes, I'll save 05 12221A. And let's sample this vocal. Got to get this out of my downloads folder, and it's going to be that easy. Now, the one thing I would recommend is that you sing with a reference note. So you have either a synth or a piano or an instrument next to you, and you like play a C and you sing a C. So that way you can be on pitch. If you are going to sample yourself singing a note, you don't necessarily have to, but obviously that's what I just went for. And I kind of regret it now because I have no idea what notes I was singing, but we can use Tuner to figure it out. All right, I've just dropped that vocal sample into Ableton Live here. I'm going to switch over to my DAW view. Here you go. My HQ Android app on a Galaxy sounds better. Oh yeah, see, phone mics are pretty good. All right, here we go. We're recording, right? Recording on the voice notes app. Not the highest recording because I'm in this small room here. But regardless, we have a few different chops. So I'm just going to start chopping this. That's the worst one. I'm not going to use those. Different vowel sounds. So I did and O. You can also do E. That's a way to get different sounds. And then I did some percussive stuff. Hey. Oh, like a hey. All right, first things first here. Let's make a rhythmic loop out of this initial voice sound here. So think two ways: chants, percussion, and then also singing. Here we go. We have this sort of shaker-ish sound. I'm going to mute that track for now. And how will I make a rhythm out of that? Well, we can very easily take a delay. This feels like a good challenge for me because now I'm trying to demonstrate this and come up with something worthwhile in 10 minutes. So this is even more of a challenge. You guys have a whole week. What's your excuse? And now you have the Halloween soundtrack. To get this out of the land of, it's very obviously me going, I'm going to pitch it up. Not too much. Now, if you are recording your voice with like a separate recorder or something, the higher sample rate you can record it at, the more you'll be able to manipulate the sample and not have any kind of like distortion. Thanks, James, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Let's do a bit of a longer one, 3 against 4. All right, so I'm going to alternate these. pitch-wise. Bring one up, but I'm going to also bring the gain down of this one. So we have a little double hit here. Like this. And I'm probably going to bring the feedback down and the dry wet down on the delay. And let me actually just do this on the downbeat because that's going to give us a very clear rhythm. So I'm going to duplicate this across. And I don't know how it's going to sound, but we'll go with it. Oh, we're also at 170 BPM, which we absolutely don't need to be at. And since we're just demoing some vocal tips, I actually don't like that alternating sound. So let me get rid of that. Boom. Just like that. And you can do things like reverse too if you're not happy with your sound, like me. Don't forget what I did earlier with the vocoder. If you need something to sound a little more percussive. Reverb and resonance, vocoder. Put it before the delay. And I have this little bit of a rhythmic loop going here. So now let me use the tonal samples. Like I've got this voice. Let me drop it into Simpler, which comes in all versions of Ableton Live, I should mention as well. I'm going to close in on this. I have no idea what note I sang, so it's probably out of tune. But we have like detuning functions in here. I'm going to warp it, which is going to make it the same length no matter how high or low I play. And I recorded it at a kind of low sample rate, so we are going to hear some distortions in there. But if I put a lot of reverb on it, let me crank that attack. Go lower. I like that. Oh, maybe this is a good way. I hope I can demo this. So if I upgrade to Sampler, which is like the more advanced sampler in Ableton Live, we should be able to do what I talked about earlier with that sustaining sound. So hear how it's looping now? But it sounds very unnatural. Well, now if I turn up crossfade, this is on the most natural, but now we have an infinitely sustaining vocal sample that doesn't end. So all I have to do is hold it down. Let's go lower. So now we can play our voice as if it's an instrument. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to go an octave up here. That was a little 4-bar loop, even though I wasn't set up to record a 4-bar loop, but that's okay. Let me go ahead and make it one. So very, very basic ideas here. Literally just taking, that was an 8-bar loop actually, taking your voice, turn it into percussive sound, and you don't only have to use your voice, by the way. Take your voice, turn it into melodic stuff, turn it into rhythmic stuff. The capabilities are there. And I have another vocal sample here. I think I sang a different note, which is going to be a tragedy here for trying to tune it. Let me go ahead and play this one. You can also reverse samples, but let me crop this first, because if I don't crop it, it will try to reverse the entire sample. Reverse. You don't have to put a ton of reverb on it. It's just how I'm kind of solving my problem. Warp it, like I said before. Now, I don't know what note I was singing there, but it's definitely not on pitch with what I was doing before, so I'm going to use the detune knob, even the transposition setting here, to get it right. And I'm just going to use my ears to match it. Yeah, it's close enough, but if you do it with a reference pitch, so basically what I mean by that is, let me just load up an instrument like operator, very simple. You load up operator, right? And maybe you all are not singers, so this will be more difficult for some of you, but if you play that note, that's a C. So when I'm sampling myself, when I sing that note, when I sing that note, I will know going in that it's a C. And you don't necessarily have to sing a C, but it will be actually a little bit easier for you to work with if you just sing the sample note of C. You don't have to worry about transposing your sample at all. So yeah, I hope those were some helpful little tips. Please upload this later. This sequence is phenomenally instructive. I'm glad. This is just like a surface level kind of what you can start to do with your voice. I'm excited for doing it next week. Next week, we'll spend a whole half hour talking about these vocal sampling techniques. But as you can see, in that just 10 minutes there, we were really able to transform that vocal. And what I can do now is take that same exact vocal sample and just build different characteristics out of it. Like, let's kill the reverb a little bit. Let's add a distortion. Drive, color, pedal. I'm just going to add a generic pedal here. Fuzz is intense. And now let me actually go to pitch and turn on the glide. Turn up the time. So now those notes are gliding. I'm going to get rid of any low frequencies I might have had. Now I have sort of a lead sound. So you can take a single vocal sample and turn it into completely different things. And then I'll just do one more thing to demo. I know we're going a little bit longer than usual, but I have more things to tell you guys about before we leave today, so don't go yet. I'm just going to do one last thing here. Let me go into my sample packs, grab one of these kicks again. Because now, okay, we're not just playing with our vocal sample. Now, how does it relate to other things we use in our track? Let me just give you a quick 4 to the floor kick here. Super loud, so I'm going to lower it. But now if we do my favorite thing ever, which is sidechaining, as many of you know. Dynamics, sidechain. We're going to get this vocal thing pumping. And now it's not just those straight chords, but we're going to have this awesome... Now it's reacting to our kick. If I mute the kick, we still get that pumping sound. So could I have this pumping vocal without even having a kick? And now I resample that from track 14. And I'm going to record it. See what's happening here? I'm getting all the audio from track 14 with sidechain and all. Good. And one last thing is, if I really wanted to, let me jump back here. We have our samplers, right? We have our sampler. I could take this audio now that I just resampled, this sidechain kick essentially, which gives it a sort of a reverse sound, right? I'm going to crop that little clip there. And now I can take that clip and drop it into the sampler. Wake up, sampler. And now it's there. Right click, normalize. It brings the volume up. And now, if I solo it, I basically have those chords, like the same exact thing that we just did, right? So now we sampled our vocals and then we sampled the manipulation that we did to the vocal sample. These are all things that you can do for next week's challenge. Of course, there's a million ways to sample a vocal, so I don't want to act like this is the only approach or the only things you can do. But there's lots of ways you can take your voice and make new instruments out of it. This was a very fun stream. I'm excited to see what you all come up with next. Next week's challenge, once again, is sampling your own vocals. That's why I just did that quick little demo for you all. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully it kind of set you on a path if you weren't quite sure what the possibilities were. I want to do a little bit of a tease because we've been doing all kinds of new things over here on the ADSR channel. Including this production challenge. You know, I have my weekly stream on Fridays as well, doing beat making, trying out new plugins, but we are also planning something with some amazing mix engineers that are going to be giving community feedback on mixes. So that is coming to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications, be in the Discord group because I'm sure there's going to be some integration there. And it should be a good time. So look forward to that. ADSR is always trying new things, is what I found, as long as I've worked for them, you know. But yes, I hope, did you route that from track 14 to record the sidechain vocals? Yes, Drummy Geo, if you run that back, you can follow my steps exactly to figure out how to do that within Live. I hope this was helpful. I had a very good time doing it. Congrats to the 3 winners this week. I can't wait to pick 3 more winners next week for the new challenge and dive even deeper into this vocal sampling challenge. But thank you all so much. If you're not in the Discord yet, use the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on to the channel because there's plenty of other streams throughout the week with other great presenters that can teach you all about music production, different aspects, etc. So don't sleep on that. This was a good time. Thank you all so much for watching. I can't wait to see next week's entries. I know I keep saying that, but yeah, my name is Taetro. You can copy and paste my name into the search bar if you don't know me. If you're not subbed to my channel, I also do live streams and make videos, and it's a good time over on my channel too. I dropped a beat video today, so it'd mean the world to me if you all went and checked that out on my channel after the stream is over, which it's over now. So thank you all. Shout out to all of our winners. I will see you all on Friday and also next Wednesday for another Producers Challenge. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to UJam for providing the plugins for our big winner this week. That's it. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Taetro for ADSR. Have a good one.